Hey everyone, this is Meg with another current release game review, and today I'm going to be talking about LA Noire. Now, like Claire, I know this has taken me a while to do, but better late than never. Now, set in the 1940s, the story follows Cole Phelps, an ex-soldier, as he works his way up the ranks of the LAPD. Now, each chapter is set up via a variety of missions, seemingly random in the beginning, then weaving together later. Now, there are flashbacks too, and a whole separate narrative that can be seen through newspapers that you collect, that also tie into the overarching story. And that's LA Noire. It's a bunch of seemingly random narratives that tie together to form one. It's not an overly complicated formula, but it works. The verse of LA Noire focuses very much on the cops of the time period, the politics, the corrupt nature of the force. It looks at drugs, murder, booze, everything you can pretty much associate with a noir title, so no surprise there. I personally loved the missions and the feeling that each investigation was a new story with fresh characters and challenges. It also gave you a chance to see different areas and sides of the city, which made a nice change, I think, from a lot of other games on the shelves. However, there was something missing with the central character. Even with the flashbacks, I felt Cole Phelps was lacking in any noticeable character development, and because of this, there was a lack of relationship between the player and the PC. I found myself growing more, or on occasions less, attached to Cole's partners. Love them or hate them, at least you have an opinion, but I didn't really have much of an opinion on Cole. Overall, it deserves its noir title. It is a noir piece, but it's a very familiar genre, so don't expect anything unusual here. I mean, it does what it says on the tin, and it does it very well. Now, this is the category I've got to make sure I don't rant about, so I'm going to make my point simple. In this department, LA Noire is frustratingly 50-50, and here's why. Now, there are some fairly innovative ideas here. The ability to interrogate people and suspects by acting on their reactions is genius, and the motion capture in the face department allows you really to get stuck into this feature. Some interrogations are fairly straightforward, but for every easy one there's an actress. Also, the idea that you can check over a crime scene and search for sometimes unfound evidence took a big leaf out of Heavy Rain's Ari book, but it worked out well, and it also accompanied the interrogations brilliantly. For example, if you've found and recorded evidence, it makes it easier for you to tell if someone's lying or not, if their facial expressions aren't giving them away. So if someone tells you that they had a perfect marriage, but you found the divorce papers earlier, you know they're lying like a cheap watch. But here's the problem. For every innovative idea, they undercut it with something that we've seen in many other games, only they did it better. The driving, for example, was practically identical to Mafia 2 and some Grand Theft Auto titles, only at least their controls were user-friendly. It was meant to be a sandbox game, but the only time you really need venture out into the city was to answer radio dispatch calls. And why would you want to do that when A, you've got a murder case to solve, and B, you need to travel miles out from an already selected destination? The shooting sections were good, nothing we haven't seen before, but after hours of interrogating and trying to drive without killing anyone, the gunplay felt, to me anyway, like an interruption. I also want to add a little pet peeve here, that the use of fingerprints was never used when collecting evidence, despite the fact that it was used regularly in the 1940s, and had been around for some time. And then in later scenes, the bigwigs, to determine certain facts, use fingerprints. Overall, I think it would have been so much better if they'd just stuck with their innovative ideas instead of muddying it with been there, done that, got the t-shirt mechanics. Now, to me, the graphics are on a very similar page to the gameplay. The faces were wonderful, and although sometimes they mismatched the base model, it looked really realistic. Each character was varied and different, and some you could actually spot from TV shows and movies, which I thought was actually quite fun. But the backgrounds and objects were on the same technical level as many other games. I mean, just think how great those faces would have looked with equally good background graphics and textures. It would have blown everyone away. It would have taken a lot longer to get there, but hey. The animation was okay, a little wooden at times, but nothing too dramatic, no pun intended. So all in all, the graphics were good. I just think it would have been nice to see the backgrounds and textures reach some new technical level that had been achieved with the facial motion capture. The soundtrack was very noir, with a capital N. It created a very dark, moody atmosphere, and they also used some tracks from the time period, though it wasn't used to quite the same effect as in Mafia 2, for example. Out of the entire soundtrack, the songs sung by Claudia Brucken, or Brucken, I'm probably slaying that name, I'll put it right here. I think because they'd been specifically created for the game, it made LA Noire feel like its own kind of verse, despite being set in a real time and place. Still, I think it aided in suspension of disbelief. I think the Torch song and Guilty are definitely my favourites, and ones I sing a lot in the shower. Overall, I would give it an 8.5. It wouldn't deserve a Game of the Year title, but its technological advances and innovative ideas can't really be ignored, despite the fact they're a little thin on the ground. Okay, so this is where I leave it open to you guys. Did you agree or disagree with any of my points? Do you love the game or hate it? Please leave your comments in the section below. I'll see you all next week in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye! The animation was okay, a little wooden at times, but nothing too dramatic. I just said, felt like they, it made a nice change. Why is that so hard for me? So hard for me? Attached. Stop slouching. How's that for a smile?